Former President Trump did an interview where he said that maybe being called a threat to democracy was a cause of his being shot. How would the president respond to that?
What I will say is the president has always been very clear when it comes to violent political rhetoric. There's no place here in this country, in our nation for it. He's always spoken about that. He's spoken about that for the past, the past several years throughout his career. And, right after the assassination attempt, the president said, he even made an address in the Oval Office and talked about lowering the temperature. He talked about getting to the bottom of this, having an independent investigation, and how important it was to do just that. And I talked about Charlottesville. We saw how the president spoke against January 6th. The day that, and I remember this, the day that January 6th happened in 2021, the president was then president-elect. He was supposed to talk about the economy. He took that opportunity to denounce what happened. 2,000 people went to the Capitol. A mob went to the Capitol. Officers, law enforcement officers were harmed. Some of them lost their lives afterwards. And he condemned that. He condemned the political violence. And they were doing that because they were trying to overturn free and fair elections. When Paul Pelosi was attacked by a hammer, the president also spoke out about violent political rhetoric and where we will, what happened, how horrific that was. And violence has no place in this country. So if anything, this is a president has been constantly and proactively called out on all Americans to come together and oppose political violence, regardless of our views.
He's had a little more than a week now to contemplate his change in status, not being a candidate, but being the sitting president. Has he described to you ways he wants to use the time perhaps differently since he doesn't have the campaign obligation?
Yeah, I think, look, we have six more months left, and the president is certainly very much thinking through what that's going to look like as far as delivering for the American people. His job doesn't stop, it continues. We've had an unprecedented record for 3.5 years on things that we were able to accomplish, whether it's the economy, being the strongest, having the strongest economy in the world, leading the world, whether it is foreign policy, making sure that we are, again, rebuilding those relationships with our partners and allies. That's something that he's been able to do. Healthcare, I just talked about Medicaid and Medicare at the top. There are many ways that the president wants to continue. The Supreme Court reform announcement that he made was also a really important. Majority of the Americans care about that. You will hear more from this president. He will articulate what the next 180 days or so or less looks like. He is going to take this very seriously.
You see less travel. Often it's an official event and campaign coinciding, so would he be based here more, do you anticipate?
So, look, I think Matt was asking me this question in the gaggle yesterday, recalibrating, and yes, there's a little bit of recalibrating here, right? And that is the honest truth. So we're trying to figure out what that's going to look like. The president is thinking about this in the way that he does, right? On behalf of the American people, putting them first. And so we'll have certainly more to share. Obviously, the president enjoys being out there, talking directly to the American people. I think that's one of the ways that we are more effective, right, when the president gets out there. Can't speak to the campaign. That's something that the campaign can speak to. But the president wants to get out there. He wants to speak directly to the American people. He wants to continue to deliver. And you will hear him articulate that more, I will predict, in the short order.